Hi, I'm Nancy Lucina, and today I want to share with you some tips that have really helped me to create a beautiful and restful postpartum period. I've tried to make this video a few times and it's a little hard with a little nursling, but he's gonna just have to be with me during the video. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the tradition that exists all around the world, from India to Asia to here where I'm in Mexico to Morocco, to so many places around the world, to places in Europe as well. And it's this idea that there should be a window of time that is respected right after you give birth. And this window of time is traditionally 40 days or around 6 weeks. And Ayurveda says 40 days for 40 years, meaning how you support yourself, how you treat yourself during this 40-day window immediately after childbirth will impact you negatively or positively for the next 40 years. So it's this really sacred window of time that we have after we give birth. And it's a time where the veil is thin, and you're not only bonding and learning how to breastfeed this baby, this new baby, but you're also ushering in a totally new woman as well. You've become a mother now. Even if you're already a mother of 5 children, you always change after every birth. And so that veil is really thin. You're in between the worlds. Not only is there so much that needs to happen physically in terms of healing and bringing your body back into a state of somewhat normal again, even though it's going to be like a new version of you. There's also things that are happening energetically that are really important. You're incredibly open. You have literally blasted yourself open on all the levels that you possibly can in order to give birth to your baby. And so you have to respect that period as well energetically and not bombard yourself with a lot of different energies. And so that's why in these cultures, traditionally, women have stayed in the house, primarily in the bed for the first 40 days. Because again, 40 days for 40 years, so how you treat yourself, it's like imprinting yourself for years to come. And so if you really set yourself up for this beautiful postpartum period, to have time to heal, to have time to bond, to have time to learn how to nurse, to receive nourishing foods from your community and your family, and to really also have that time to journey inward and learn new things about yourself. Perhaps you also need to heal emotionally depending on how your pregnancy and birth was. But even if you've had an amazing pregnancy and an amazing birth, you don't want to be getting up on your feet the next day to go grocery shopping. It's just not appropriate. And so we have unfortunately lost this wisdom in the US, and we see women who are needing to go back to work after sometimes just 2 weeks of giving birth, maybe sometimes 3, maybe max 4 to 6 weeks that are paid if you're lucky. And this does nothing to support the mother, nothing to support the mother and the baby bonding, and this has ripples out into our world in very, very big ways, in my opinion. So if you're able to really take this time seriously and prepare during your pregnancy or even before you conceive, if you know you're wanting to conceive. I interviewed a woman named Julia Jones who works a lot in this postpartum. Yeah, she does a lot with postpartum, and she said women need to be saving for postpartum just like they would save for their wedding. So you plan for a wedding, you spend thousands of dollars on it potentially, and it's like a normal thing that we just accept in society. Like, my wedding's going to be expensive and I'm going to save for it, and that's that. Most people, right? But we don't save for the postpartum period when we really, really should be. So if you're not able to save on your own, something that I can recommend is to set up a postpartum fund for yourself to really help you to care for yourself, to have the basics covered during this 6 weeks period, during this 40-day period. So what I did this time around was I created a postpartum fund, and I said, in lieu of gifts, please consider donating to this fund, and this will help me to pay for nanny help for my older child who's just 1.5 years, It will help me to pay for body work for myself, acupuncture, those different things that really help you to heal, which I'll get into a little bit later. And it'll help me to pay for any kind of extra help that I really need, cleaning as well, maybe ordering in food, whatever it is. There's a lot of demands. If you are going to practice this 40-day period, there are a lot of demands on your partner, if you have a partner, and your family. And so having a little bit of extra cash to help cover those is really, really helpful. So I can recommend that. I used something called babylist.com to create that. They have a little section that instead of a gift, you can set up a fund. So you can get creative in ways like that if you're not able to save, and try as best as you can to really prioritize this. And so something else I can recommend is to start a meal train. And you can go to mealtrain.com and you can ask your neighbors, your friends, your family to sign up for a meal so that you have at least 2 meals a week. I would say 3 meals a week in the first couple of weeks. The first 2 weeks I think are the most important, because that's when you're going to be the most tired, and that's when you're going to need to stay in bed as best as you possibly can, as most as you can. So if you can do a meal train on mealtrain.com, that's going to help you a ton. And also keep in mind that this food isn't just for you, but it's also for your partner and, you know, any kids that you may already have, because you want also your partner and your family members to have time to bond with you in those first couple weeks. I mean, to bond with the baby and you as a new mom. And so not needing to worry about food is super, super helpful. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the basic sort of principles that you can see worldwide in these traditional cultures during this 40-day period. Those are, number one, primarily is rest. Rest, rest, rest. If you don't do anything else that I suggest in this video, rest. Again, at least for the first 2 weeks, definitely while you're still bleeding, and as much as you possibly can during those first 40 days. So taking everything off your plate if you possibly can around caring for your older children. I mean, of course, you're still going to care for them and see them, but if the heavy, like I have a 1.5-year-old and he's big and heavy, and I said I'm not going to lift him in my first 40 days. So I'm going to need help from everybody else, getting him on the potty, changing his diaper, whatever it is, lifting him up in his seat to eat. And yeah, I've pretty much held true to that, and it's been really helpful in helping me to heal, helping my pelvic floor to heal. So things like that. So resting in bed, having your meals brought to you. It's really your time to receive, and knowing that you are worthy of that. And really remembering that if you can care for yourself deeply in this period, you're caring for your baby deeply in this period, and that again has ripple effects out into the community and into the world at large. I really believe that how we treat our new mothers says so much about our world. Okay, so there's rest, and then there's nourishing food, and this food you can see across the board. Again, it has common themes, and that is usually that it's warm and it's wet and it's nourishing. So think soups. If you aren't vegetarian, you're going to want to do some kind of broth and get collagen-rich foods in there, like a bone broth from a healthy source, some free-range chicken or beef, if that's your thing. You can see that in, again, all of these different cultures and the ways in which they prepare their food is with warming spices to get the digestive going again, the digestive fire going again, soups, and just really nourishing foods. There's a book that I can recommend called The First 40 Days, and it's a recipe book, and it's beautiful, and it can give you a lot of inspiration. And also it can give you some inspiration to, if you're going to do a meal train, to let those people know what it is that you actually want. So I was really clear this time around. I'm not doing any dairy, because my little boy, my son, who was 1.5 years, had a bad dairy intolerance through my milk that it took me a long time to figure out. So I thought maybe this little guy will have it too. So no dairy. I can tell them what I don't want. No wheat. No foods that like cause a lot of inflammation. So I just honestly ate tons of chicken and vegetable soup. And then You can also do nourishing warm beverages. So you want to avoid cold food in general. No iced things, nothing like that. So I've been rotating between a few beverages that I can tell you about, so you can try. I've been rotating between a nettle tea, a stinging nettle tea, and red raspberry leaf infusion. And you can let that steep for around 4 hours and then drink that throughout the day. I have like a big thermos that I try to keep by my bed, especially in those first few weeks. And especially when you're nursing all around the clock, your days are so watery. There's no difference between day and night in a way. You're waking up every few hours regardless. And I found that thermos by my bed with that warm, nourishing infusion or tea was so helpful at the 3 a.m. wake up when I was so thirsty, because I'm just constantly giving out so much with breastfeeding. So I did that. I did another blend with stinging nettle leaf, red raspberry, but then also with oat, like milky oat, and I'm blanking for lemon balm. Yeah, so that is really good for helping to calm the nervous system, and that's a shorter infusion of around 30 minutes. And then I also did a traditional tea that's inspired by Chinese medicine that I got the recipe from this book that I mentioned, and that is red date. So these are Chinese dates. They're not the typical dates that you eat and put in desserts. It's something totally different. So red Chinese dates and organic goji berries. And it's about an hour-long brew, and you add the goji berries in at the last 20 minutes. So this is a really amazing infusion or tea for building your blood and getting all that warmth back and restoring your yin. And I think it's super yummy. It's very sweet, but in a nice way. It's kind of syrupy, and I really craved that kind of taste in the first couple of weeks especially. And then I've also been doing a rehydration drink, which I put lime juice, you can also do lemon juice, honey, sea salt, baking soda, and some spirulina. So that's super refreshing. I don't get it too cold though, I just make it at room temperature. And super hydrating, and the spirulina gives you some extra boost as well. And I also made placenta smoothies for the first couple of weeks, and this is a whole sort of other video perhaps on how to work with the placenta. But just really quick, we ended up doing a lotus birth, and what I did, because the placenta was attached to him for the first 3 days. So what I did on the very first day was I cut off some pieces from the back of the placenta. So if you look at the placenta, and the front looks like a tree, so it has all the veins. The back is what I'm talking about, that doesn't have those veins that look like a tree. And so you can choose a few little chunks of that. You can make one really dense smoothie, have your support team do this for you on day 1. With some berries, maybe some banana. I think I used hemp milk in mine, and I used some collagen powder as well, and some spirulina too. And you make one really dense smoothie, and then you pour that into an ice cube tray. So then you create kind of mini smoothies that then you can add 1 to like a normal size smoothie every day for the first 10 to 14 days. And that'll really help you get your iron back, restore your blood, balance your hormones. There's tons of anecdotal benefits around consuming your placenta. If you care to look into that, there's a lot of information out there. You could also make placenta capsules. You could do placenta prints, where you put it down on a piece of paper. We did that as well. You can make homeopathy from it, and you can make a tincture, which I highly recommend. In that day 1, taking another little chunk, putting it in vodka or some other alcohol. We used mezcal because that's what we have here, and then you have that during your quarantine period. During your first 40 days, you let that sit, and then you strain it off into a tincture bottle. And this is amazing because you can use it when you go through menopause, and it's going to help you. And this tincture won't go bad as long as you keep it out of the daylight. So yeah, there's a lot one could talk about the placenta, but I'm just trying to hit the basics. So we talked about rest, we talked about food. Let's talk about warmth. It's really important that you stay warm. You can see this in all cultures as well who practice this traditional 40-day stay-in. There's an emphasis on warmth. Some cultures take it super seriously and they're covered from head to toe, even if it's really hot outside. I wasn't actually that hardcore about it, but I definitely respected it in the first 3 weeks. I stayed super warm, and it's actually pretty hot here now, so I'm starting to kind of wear some tank tops here and there when I feel it. But yeah, staying in bed under the covers, wearing socks. You might want to do vaginal steaming, which has tons of benefits you can check out. There was a study that Kimberly and Johnson did with Steamy Chick. I'm blanking on her name. That's her handle. Kelly Garza, I believe. They did an amazing study of postpartum mothers, and they did vaginal steaming, I think starting on day 3, and they saw just incredible benefits from recovering from birth if you had tearing or if you had mild prolapse and all kinds of other things. So this is something I also did every single day for the first few weeks, and I'm still doing it here and there. And it's also a way to bring warmth into the body, and you cover yourself up with a blanket and you really can sweat a lot. Again, this is a big topic, so I can't cover everything about vaginal steaming, but I'll just plant that seed, and if you want to look further into that, you can. So yeah, baths, traditional baths with different herbs and flowers. They do that here in Mexico. Yeah, stay warm. That's the basics. Just stay warm. Don't drink cold things. Eat hot things. Stay in bed. Keep your socks on. Don't let a big cold draft come into you and get your back and your neck really cold. That's not good for you, according to all of these different cultures who are, yeah. It's amazing for me when you find something that's in so many different places around the world. There has to be truth to it, in my opinion. So rest, nourishment, warmth, and yeah, keeping in mind who your community really is, who you can talk to about your emotions, who you feel comfortable with processing, who you feel comfortable with just having a cry fest. You're going to go through a lot of different emotions in your postpartum period, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have postpartum depression. You don't have to jump to that conclusion. It's really normal to be in that watery state and to feel a lot of different things. You might have some grief come up from grieving your old way of life. You might have immense bliss and joy come up. You might have grief come up just watching this little one grow so much. That often happens to me, that I cry because of just how big they are suddenly. You know, even after a week and you're watching their foot grow or whatever, and it makes you cry. So who can you share those moments with? Have that figured out, have that written down before you actually give birth, so you know who those people are, even if they're far away and it's a phone call. You have that kind of community set up for yourself. Yeah, so let's see. Don't be afraid to receive. You are worth this. Like I said before, this impacts you for many, many, many years to come. Think about what self-care really means to you, and think about ways you can really set that up for yourself. Touch is another thing that you'll see across all of these different cultures, an emphasis on body work, whether that's massage for you or maybe a bit of acupuncture as well, cranial sacral work. I got some osteopath work. Here in Mexico, they do some beautiful things like a closing of the bones ceremony. You can also see this across many cultures, and they do it in different ways, but here they wrap you from head to toe, slowly going through each body part and closing you, and it's not just a physical thing but an energetic thing as well. They do some massage on the womb to help, you know, make sure the uterus is back into place. So whatever that might be for you, look into that again before you give birth, so that that's really in place. You have your contacts ready to call if you're wanting a massage. You have that a little bit of extra money set aside to do those things if at all possible. Ask your family to support you in this. The thing is, too, you're going to need to educate people around this, because this is wisdom that has been lost for the most part. And so it's a re-education. It's an education process that you'll have to do for yourself if you don't know much about it, but then you're also going to have to educate your partner and your family and your friends, because people don't really know. People don't really get it. okay, this is another thing I really want to touch on before I say goodbye in this video. You're so sensitive energetically, especially the first 2 weeks, I would say, more than anything. So this time around, I made the decision to not have any visitors, no matter how much I loved them, for the first week. So I actually didn't have anyone in my room unless it was my children or my husband, and no outside visitors. And there's a reason for that. For me, it's because you are not in normal consciousness during this period. You are in an expanded state of consciousness. You're very impressionable. You're very vulnerable. You're very open. And so if you can just stay in your bed and keep that little bubble, it will go a really long way. Because it's also whoever was at your birth, if your family was at your birth, hopefully your partner was there if you have a partner, they're very much impacted as well. And they're not totally in normal consciousness either. And so as well-meaning as people are, maybe your really good friend down the street or whatever wants to come visit that first week, they're not in that same consciousness. And so what can often happen is that they kind of bring you out, and it's not helpful. So I decided 1 week no visitors, and then after that week I started to slowly let people come in who I thought were, who I wanted to see, right? But be really mindful of that. Be really careful. Take care of that little bubble. Stretch it out to 2 weeks if you want, or however long. And these people can come to your front door and they can leave their meal on your porch, or on your kitchen table or whatever, if you leave a door open for them, and they'll understand. So just set up your boundaries. Keep your bubble. Make it clear to yourself what you really want for this period before you give birth, so you're not scrambling, because trust me, it's already overwhelming enough dealing with the changes in your body, learning how to nurse this baby. Even if you've had many babies, all babies are different, all relationships are different, all latches are different. So there's this learning process, and it can be overwhelming enough if you haven't done the work to really set yourself up. So I think I'll pause there. There is so much more I could talk about, and there are a lot of beautiful women who this is really their expertise, and I can tag them here so you can check them out. And yeah, I hope this was helpful, and I'm wishing you, if you are a new mama or soon to be new mama, a beautiful and restful postpartum period. And please share this far and wide so that women can understand that they are worthy of this beautiful rest and this peaceful postpartum period.